Hi. In my last video, I asked for video requests and one of you said something about me being in a bikini. Okay, fine. Let me tell you the story of that time I was a bikini competitor in bodybuilding. I just want to make it very clear that this video is not dissing bodybuilding in any way as a sport, not judging or criticizing anybody that is doing it or has done it. This is just my personal experience and how it affected me and what I went through and what I observed. I also want to make clear that the bodybuilding that I observed was within like the lower mainland British Columbia area. I don't know what it's like in other places in the world. And also I'm not calling out any of my friends or people who I was involved with or people I worked for or trained with. I have so much respect and gratitude for everybody that I met in that journey and everybody's journey and their process and their own reasons of why they were doing it, why they did the things they do and continue to, and that's their reality. I have love and respect. This is just my own experience. So take it with that lens in mind. For 2 years of my life, I was competing in bodybuilding competitions in the bikini category. It's kind of a really long story, so I'm gonna break this up into like 3 videos so you're not sitting there overwhelmed. So this is video number 1, how I got into it and what competing was like. It all stems back to when I was in high school. I started weight training in my PE class, and that was kind of my first exposure to weightlifting, and I really loved it. So since then, my best friend and I would go to the local leisure center to work out, and it's just kind of been a habit I had ever since. And at that point, my relationship with fitness was, I was a competitive cheerleader. That's a whole nother story. So I was a competitive cheerleader and I was weightlifting, and that was like my community. I had a little gym, family, friends that I know, people that I would like work out with regularly. And that culture kind of carried through till when I was in university. I was training for my university, and I was also training a lot in the weight room. A lot of my friends were personal trainers and studying kinesiology, so I got into the gym community there. So I always had friends in the gyms that I went to who were probably prepping for a show or know about bodybuilding or powerlifting. And I had some friends who were competing, and I ended up dating this guy who was also competing. So I ended up just kind of like naturally started to prep because I was hanging out with him a lot. And I was already, on a similar diet, just with like different portions. At that point, I already knew quite a bit about like nutrition and, macronutrients and stuff like that. So I was aware, so I figured like, hey, might as well, like I'm already like halfway through this prep, I'm just gonna try to compete too. So that was in the 2014 Sandra Wickham show, which doesn't exist anymore. I think it's called Popeye's Classics now or something, or Fall Classics, I don't know anymore. I'm pretty out of the loop, and I was about 6 weeks out, which is a pretty short amount of time to prep for a show for like normally, but I did that because I felt like I had already been like halfway through like a prep lifestyle and I was already pretty lean. I went to check-ins with my boyfriend at the time's like coach and told him that, hey, I'm gonna also compete. So he became my coach and wrote me up like a meal plan and also like a training like regiment, and it was quite a bit of cardio. It was so much cardio, most cardio I've ever done in my life, because I was kind of on a time crunch. Like I had been kind of prepping, but not as intensely prepping as it probably should have been. So I kind of like kicked into high gear, was training every day and doing a lot of cardio to prepare for the show. Me and the guy ended up breaking up before the show, but I like at that point I was so close. I was like, fuck it, I might as well just keep going. I'm gonna do this. Oh yeah, before you compete in these competitions, you have to go to like posing class, like posing training. So because you have to know how to like present your physique, like the dieting and the training and getting like the physique is like half the work, well, most of the work. And then there's also the part of presenting on stage. Like they also judge how your tan looks, your hair and your makeup and like your overall physique, but also like you have to know how to pose to stand out on stage because you're on stage with like 25 people. So yeah, I went to all the posing practices and arrived on my show day, did the thing, and I ended up winning that show. And I was not expecting that. I'd never done a show before. So I was like, wow, okay, cool. That competition qualified me for the provincials. So, okay, I'm gonna prep for the provincials. And that was in June. And I told myself, realistically, I don't think I'm going to be able to make the changes that are necessary to compete that soon. And I felt like my body kind of needed a break. So I didn't end up doing that year. So I did the following year. So at the 2016 BCs. The experience that I went through between those shows was very interesting because when you compete and you diet that hard and you get that lean, your body kind of goes into survival mode where it thinks it's dying of starvation. Everybody's different. Some people's bodies are happier like hanging out at super low body fat. But for me personally, what it took for me to be like show lean wasn't comfortable for my body. What I noticed significantly was my off switch of when I'm full, like was gone. Like I didn't know. I was always hungry. So I went through, after the show was done, I no longer had to be on this diet and I wasn't competing for another year. So I kind of went into this like bulk mindset where I just wanted to lift heavy, gain muscle, and I didn't really care what I was eating, but I also wasn't really dealing with the fact that my relationship with food was very distorted at that point. So I went on these crazy binge eat sessions with my gym friends. We would go to like all you can eat regularly. Like sometimes we would do like dim sum in the morning and then go to all you can eat and then just like eat a bunch of donuts at night. Like I had these days where it just like wasn't healthy. I felt horrible, but yeah, that's just how I was reacting to an extreme diet. I was still training a lot. Like I was lifting probably some of the heaviest weights I've ever lifted in my life. Anyways, at the peak of my weight, I think I was like 100, almost 135 pounds, which probably like doesn't sound like a lot, but like on stage, I was 103 pounds. So I gained 30 pounds in a few months. Obviously, a lot of that would be like water weight because when you're competing on stage, you're doing a water cut on the day of as well. So you're going to like cut out a bunch of water and you're depleting quite a bit going up to it. But still, like I gained a significant amount of weight in a short amount of time. And that also affected me mentally. People have asked me before if I ever use any anabolics or like steroids. And the honest answer is I use Anavar. So it somehow increases your body's speed of recovery. I don't exactly know how it works and how it works all the hormones. Maybe I'll like link something to better describe what it is. But see, this is also another horrible thing. Like I didn't really know what I was taking. Like I was just taking it because I was willing to just kind of do whatever to get the look that I wanted. How I felt that it affected me was because I was cutting, I was trying to maintain muscle mass and not lose it because when you gain muscle, you want to, keep it. As you cut, you just want to lose the body fat, but not, but keep as much of the lean mass as you can. I was using it to speed up my recovery so I could cut and lose fat quicker without losing as much muscle. And I also noticed that when I trained hard, I wasn't really getting sore. Like my recovery time was super quick and I was also getting stronger. It was a fairly low dose, just like kind of for maintenance and a little bit of a boost. Like I didn't really notice too many like adverse side effects from that particular drug. I was also using clenbuterol, I think that's how you pronounce it, and you just call it Clen, which is this is bad because I don't know how this works. But basically it's like a steroid that people use for cutting. And how I noticed it affecting me was it made my heart rate a lot faster than normal. Like I would be sitting there sometimes and my heart would just be pounding, which is like really concerning. But at the time I didn't even care. At the time I knew a lot of people who were injecting a lot higher doses of a lot like more intense steroids. So in my perspective, this is nothing. This is fine. And I'm not judgmental of anybody and what they choose to do with their bodies. I'm just telling you my own experience and how it impacted me. By the day of the show, I no longer felt okay taking Clen because my heart rate was so fast. I just didn't feel good. And so I just told my coach, like, I'm not taking this anymore. And also, I'm not trying to shit talk my coach. He never asked me to do this. He never pushed me to do this. This was something that, like, I went on my own terms with doing. Like, I don't, like, some people might know my coach, some people may not. Like, doesn't matter. I'm not going to name him. But this had nothing, like, he knew about it, but this was not his doing. Like, he didn't like push it on me in any shape, way, or form. With that being said, I told him that I was going to stop, and he's like, yeah, okay, like, like, don't come off like all of it right away because like you might react to that, but just definitely like taper off, like do what you need for yourself. And at that point, I was so lean. Like, that probably was the leanest I've ever been in my life, and I'll definitely include photos. I'm actually really proud of the physiques that I bring to stage. Like from my first show to my second show, I noticed a huge difference. It's also so interesting to reflect on how much progress I made in that amount of time, and knowing that it was through dedication. I was one of those people who never cheated on their plan. Like my coach didn't have to like be hard on me. Like he was super chill. But once I set out to do something, I was like, I'm committed. I'm gonna stick to this. I was basically in a gym like 7 days a week, doing cardio, weight training, and dieting. That was like my life. It took a lot of commitment, and it was a lifestyle. Made a lot of friends in the process, met a great community. I don't regret that experience at all. Because I came into the show, I placed second, which I was super pumped about, which then qualified me to go to the nationals. I never went, but I'll get to that later. So I'm qualified for the national. I was super excited. You know, it's my second show. Thought I was gonna keep going. I ended up becoming a like posing coach. So I would like help my coach his bikini girls on how to pose, and like we would run these classes. I was actually having a really good time. Prepping and training and helping people, starting to get more into like helping with making meal plans. That's kind of my story of my first and my second bodybuilding competitions and what the process kind of was for me. My next video, I'm gonna go more into the body image side of things and my relationship with food and how that changes. So click on the next video if you want to know more about that. Okay, bye.